thanks to the support as a channel member, Kyle Bykirch. Oh, boys and girls, wonderful things are happening. My back has finally recovered enough for me to be able to sit in the barber's chair long enough to have my hair cut after several months of getting bushier and bushier, especially in the beard. And having all that weight removed from my head has allowed me to see that we did play both matches in the last episode on a very defensive mentality. I don't know why. I don't know how. It wasn't deliberate. We fixed that, though. Don't worry about it. It also means I'm trialing going back to my big boy chair. And if I can do a day on my big boy chair, who knows? We might be getting ever so slightly closer to a return of proper streaming. Wouldn't that be a thing? But never mind any of that, because today we need to get past Wydad Casablanca in the Champions League knockouts. And we did already comfortably beat the other Casablanca team, or one of the other Casablanca teams, Raja Casablanca. We knocked them out in the first round. But Wydad Casablanca are theoretically not as good as them. But we shall see, I guess, because they've made it through to the knockout rounds, and obviously Raja Casablanca didn't even make it through to the group stages. This is what the knockout rounds are looking like. We've got a quarter-final, then a semi-final. Fingers crossed we can make it past Wydad, playing on a positive mentality again. What a thing. It's Rebello in goal, a back four of Asante, Matombo, Makubo and Gwenya. Sangari at the base of the midfield with Zamela and Nkosi ahead of him. Makanya on the left, Unlove on the right, Kamalo up front. If you're wondering why the front three is looking a little bit different to how it normally looks, Mbambo has got an injury. He's going to be out for the next month or so with sprained ankle ligaments. Vusi Chalk, who had been coming in on that left-hand side, and he's this season's Big Kurt, because he's come in, he's got 9 goals from 8 starts. Yeah, he's scored 5 penalties. The man can hit a penalty kick, but he's just kind of exploded out of nowhere after being here forever. But he's also injured. Kurt Villakazi is recovering from injury as well. Clothy is still injured at right back as well, so Gwenya is having to continue out at right back, which is not ideal because Utara is still unregistered and will be for the entire season. So it is a little bit of a thrown together team, but fingers crossed they will still have enough about them to deal with what I can only assume is the second best team in Casablanca, because we've been to Casablanca and we won 4-0. That's the song presumably we're all singing. I imagine it's a nice easy away day. We haven't looked. This is where we're playing. We're actually pretty close to the coast, which I think all of Casablanca is. I think the whole point is that it's on the coast. I've been relatively close to this, in so much as I've been to Tenerife and I've been to Lanzarote. It's the closest to any ground we've played in since I've been in Africa, presumably. But this is where the stadium is. It looks like a big boy from the sky. Let's drop ourselves down, hopefully in the middle of the pitch, and have a little look at it. Oh, this is a nice stadium. Look at it. Oh, it is very nice. The camera's a bit lopsided. Can we straighten this up? No? I think the guy holding the camera was mid falling over as he took this shot. Looks like a cricket pavilion above there. But yeah, all very nice. I hope it doesn't rain. Not much of this is undercover. But that's where we're playing, for those of you who were wondering. And I know that's most of you. And now we can get back to the match. Now we know where we are. 43,000 people have crammed themselves into that. And do we get a weather report on here? What happened to the days in Football Manager when you saw the weather on here? Oh, there you go. We have got some weather. It's just not in words. It's cloudy and 21 degrees. I guess that's fine. We don't want bright sunshine, because not only is there nowhere to shelter from the rain, there's nowhere to shelter from the sun. And with the sides of my skull exposed, I would be subject to potential sunburn if it wasn't cloudy. So thankfully, the weather is on my side, it seems, and we are on the attack. I mean, we would take a draw in this first leg. It's Champions League knockouts. You always take a draw in the away leg of Champions League knockouts, regardless of who you're playing and how fancy you think you are and how much you've written a script in your own head that you're going to win the tournament. A draw in the away leg is always fine. Unless, of course, you lost the first leg at home in the away leg's your second leg. What we don't want to do is lose. And we have just gone a goal down. And that's not ideal. I don't want to see your filthy replay. The stadium looks even bigger in game than it looked in the photographs. In the Google Maps that we just saw. The aerial view. Right, can we get back into this, please? Kamalo, who is I mean, he's not played a huge amount of football for us since his big money move, but he did go off to play with South Africa. He missed that month when everyone else missed their month. So he kind of missed his opportunity to get into the team as well. But Cross comes in looking for him now. It eludes him, but the keeper doesn't deal with it properly. And the shot from Gwenya it was the right idea because the keeper had come flapping way off of his line. But unfortunately, the shot goes just over and it remains 1-0 to Casablanca as we go in at half time. We're not going to do anything crazy like go attacking or go very defensive. I still don't understand. I must have can you just knock it? There you go. If you're hovering over it and you just use the wheel on your mouse, that must be what I've done at some point. And then just not noticed I've done it. But I must have done it pre-match because it was in both matches, which presumably means it was in the off-camera matches in between as well. Shows how often I change mentality. We're very much plug and play around these parts, boys and girls. Once we've got it working, why change mentality? In fact, Vilakazi's injured, isn't he? So we don't want to bring him on. And we are going to bring on Phillips. And we'll bring on Koza as well. And we don't have anyone to play on the left wing. Phillips is just going to have to play out there and like it. We are trying to turn him into a central midfielder, but today he's going to have to play on the left wing. If we concede another one, we'll stick him up front. We'll go 2 up top. Although the idea of Bafana Phillips as a striker being the solution to any problem a team might have is a terrifying proposition. And Kozi plays it out to Koza on the right. He's trying to create some space for the cross. Does find the cross. Kamalo's not very big, but he does make contact. It's a good header, and I think the keeper's pushed that right onto the base of the post, and that was very nearly the much-needed equaliser. Asante's going to come off for Radaby as our final change. I'm still not going to go attacking. What I am going to do is encourage a team. A 1-0 defeat in the first leg is not a disaster. You can turn around a 1-goal defeat. Obviously, if we can grab the equaliser, I think that puts us in control of the tie. But just having to overturn a 1-0, I think we can do. We might even potentially have Mbambo back or Vilakazi back for that return fixture. Oh, because he's in and he's hit the crossbar. I think he was offside anyway. He was offside, but we've rattled the woodwork a couple of times in this second half. We are posing a threat, but so far Casablanca are keeping us at bay, and it looks like they are going to have their way with us. Cape Town Spurs absolutely thumped. They're already out of the competition, basically losing 3-0 at home to Sahel, who were in our group? I feel like we've played them at some point. Have we played them? But they weren't in our group, were they? It was Tunis in our group. Maybe that was a club that we were applying for a job with at some point. Because I do feel like we have history with them, but maybe we don't. Right, we've got, 2 weeks to get Mbambo fit. We'll play Magesi off camera, and I'll be back for that second leg, which is now a must-win with bells on second leg. Well, as you would expect, we won our in-betweeny game, which does still leave the Premiership looking jolly splendid, and Big Kurt is back, as is Slothy. Unfortunately, Mbambo not ready to play. He's still failing a fitness test, so he's not going to be able to take part. We're going to have to do the quarterfinal without him, and he'll be back for the semi-final, right? Because this does ruin the entire narrative I've got in my head of my winning every Champions League with a team that's never won it before, the first time they ever play in it thing. If we get knocked out here, it is pretty close to a sellout. I think our capacity is just shy of 16,000, so we are pretty much maxed out. I imagine the empty seats are in the Casablanca end because those lazy old Moroccans didn't want to come on a simple away day down to South Africa. I mean, do they not care? Do they not love their club? Do you even go away, Casablanca fans? Hideous. Right, Macanya to Gwenya, who of course with Hothy back in can move back over to right back. And now Macanya plays it out to Asante, who's just made his debut for Ghana in between these two matches. So that's another full international knocking around our squad, which is rather splendid. Lovely ball over the top from Sangare. Vilakazi's in, and now he's hit the crossbar. I mean, sometimes, we've talked about it before, sometimes the game just feels scripted. And I think when you start hitting the post, hitting the crossbar 2, 3, 4 times over the course of a 2-legged fixture, it does start to feel a little bit like the game's just said, yeah, I mean, you are the better team. If we just let the match engine do its thing, you would win. However, We've got to keep you interested. We can't have you winning all the time. So you are not going to win the Champions League this year. And this is where you get knocked out. Let me introduce you to the woodwork. Forget the woodwork. Unlove scores. And that's us ahead on the night and level on aggregate. I told you the game wasn't scripted. You're a bunch of silly conspiracy theorists. But it's good work from Macania, cutting inside off of the left. And then Unlove, still with a lot of work to do, goes past his man, creates some space for himself, and then fires it across the keeper into that far corner. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Now push on from here, boys. Casablanca haven't even had a shot. We are dominating in a way that they didn't in that first leg. It was a pretty even first leg. And I felt a little bit hard done by that we came away with the defeat rather than the draw. But we are comfortably the best team in this second leg, although still only level in the tie overall. Vilakazi to Sangari. Makubo's picked up a knock there. We might have to take him off. Unlove, who's of course already got one, lays it across to Big Kurt, who couldn't really get it out from under his feet. And it goes back to the Casablanca goalkeeper. And if they score just on the stroke of half time, I'm going back to my this game is scripted narrative. But Unlove now, who's having a very, very good game. In the absence of Mbambo, Unlove is having to be our wide threat. Plays it into Kazi, crosses to Kurt Vilakazi. And he doesn't need many of those to be able to grab himself a goal. That's 19 for the season for Kurt Vilakazi, the man who the star rating told me was never going to be good enough to play for us, has just scored a goal to potentially push us into the semi-final of the Champions League. And it's all because of how long he is. What a lengthy boy. 6 foot, whatever he is, 6'4", 6'5", 6'4". Oh, there's a lot of him, and he used every bit of it to grab that all-important goal. Makubo's going to come off. Deluli, who is also recovering from an injury. He was another one who was away on international duty with South Africa, but then came back and picked up a knock. So he's another one who is struggling a little bit for fitness, but he can come back in. That's a nice substitution to be able to make. And now Unlove has been absolutely scythed down. That's a red card. Casablanca are combusting, and we're now facing 10 men, and it's 10 men who, when they had their violent buddy on the pitch, weren't creating anything. They've not had a shot on target yet. And fingers crossed we can grab a third and put this out of doubt. Zimela it got back to him following on from the free kick. Deluli doesn't really know what to do with it. I mean, he's the deepest man we've got as well. We're very pushed forward, aren't we? No more very defensive from us. And now Vilakazi back to goal, shoots from range and nearly tucks it under the crossbar. That would have been an absolute worldie if he'd have been able to keep that down. None of this, it's just because he's tall nonsense if he scores that. That one's just because he's tall, and that's why I love him. And how is he offside from that? The referee's got his finger in his ear, hasn't he? How'd you get yourself offside from a free kick? You didn't. Lovely work. Let's look at it from the other angle. Kurt Vilakazi doing his thing once again. There's been a couple of people in the comments comparing him to Miles Leaburn from Non-League to Legend, who was never good enough star rating wise to get in the team. But because of my love of big meaty boys, we used him and he fired us all the way to the Premier League. And I'm getting very similar vibes from Vilakazi. He absolutely should not be anywhere near this team, but he's going to score the winning goal in the Champions League final, isn't he? Right, Sangare's tired. We don't have anyone else who can come on and play there. So I think we're going to bring on Phillips and just... we'll do that. Oh, because he can play there. I don't think I've ever used him in that role before. Okay. Well, Phillips can go into his retraining to be a midfielder position, which is a little bit harsh on Kanani, because Kanani was starting to get some game time, and then I just decided I really want to make Bafana Phillips a thing that works, mainly because I like his name. I think Bafana's a really cool name, and I want a Bafana in my team. Right, Kamalo's going to come on, and Kanani can now come on. Oh, he can't, because we made a substitution at half-time. Oh, well. Poor old Kanani can just sit there and watch. We're in the semi-final. That's the important thing. It looks like Cape Town have been knocked out, so ES Sahel are still in. I think Pyramids are through as well. We're through, and then presumably Al Ali. That's a huge match. Al Ali against Tunis. They're two of the best teams on the continent. And Dylan Deluli back in the team. I mean, we like a big strong boy, and Deluli is there to grab his 10th of the season. our fourth of the match, and we've dealt with Casablanca the same way we dealt with the other Casablanca. That's both Casablanca teams have had 4 goals put past them by Stellenbosch this season. We are great. Delulli's in again, and he nearly scored again. Save some goals for the semi-final, lads. That's going to be coming up tomorrow and setting us up nicely for a nice little weekend final. Fingers crossed. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. Thank you very much to all these lovely people who've joined up to the newly relaunched Patreon, and thank you very much for watching.